Welcome. In this tutorial, we will review the bank account lifecycle management feature. This feature is managed by the Feature Management Workspace, and it has been released in application version 10.0.40. By using the bank account lifecycle management feature, you could control the master data changes of the bank accounts on the creation as well as the modifications. The workflow approval is triggered by the changes the users performed either from the bank accounts form or via the data management. Last but not least, you could review the changes history on a detailed inquiry. First, I'll navigate to the Feature Management Workspace to enable the bank account lifecycle management feature. When the feature is enabled, then you can navigate to the Cash and Bank Management module, Setup, then Cash and Bank Master Data Change Setup Form, where we can specify when the approval changes workflow should be triggered. So here we can trigger the approval workflow on the bank creation and or on the modification. So here on the modification, we can also specify certain fields that will trigger the approval workflow. So here in this example, we can apply the review changes on the bank account number. Here also we can manage the data entity behavior. So we can select between allow changes without approval when the changes applied via the data management, or create change proposal. Then the user can manually select either to approve or reject, or we can automatically reject the changes. After that, we have to configure the workflow approvals on the Cash and Bank Management workflows. The required workflow called Workflow for Proposed Bank Account Changes. Let's review the bank account creation approval workflow. I'll navigate to the Cash and Bank Management, then I'm gonna create a new bank account. I'll click New, then I'll give it an ID. Then I'll specify the bank account number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll select the main account. Then as normal, I'll specify the bank account name. Here you will notice that the bank account status by default coming to inactive for all transactions. So before approving this bank account, I'd like to set the status to active for all transactions. Once you select this and click Save, here we'll receive another info message states that the bank account status is initially set to inactive for all transactions. And during the bank account creation and approval workflow, once this workflow is approved, then the value will be updated to the choice. Our choice is active for all transactions. So now we have to submit the workflow. I'll click Submit, Submit. You will notice that here the change state changes to changes pending approval. Let's wait for the workflow. Now I'll approve the workflow. And once the workflow is approved, we can see here that the change state changes into changes approved, and here we can see the bank account status became active for all transactions. Now, if we try to modify the data of one of the fields that have been specified to trigger the modification approval, like the bank account number, let's change this by add like 6, then save. So here we can see that the change proposal is triggered. So here we can see the bank account number value. Before it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then here in the workflow, I'll have to submit the workflow. We can see here the status is changes not submitted. Once it's submitted, it will be changes pending approval. And after the workflow approval, it will be changes approved and the values will be changed. If you would like to review the bank account changes history, then here on the bank account on the action pane changes, then here we can review either the change proposal or the change history. Here in the change history, we can see the first one, the creation record. Then here we can review the workflow history or the details of the changes. So initially we changed the status from inactive for all transactions to active for all transactions. Then in the second change, we can see here the change type is modification, and we can see here that we have changed the bank account number from 12345 to 123456. The workflow approval is triggered also by the data management changes, and it depends on the configuration of the cash and bank master data change setup. Here we can determine the data entity behavior from these options. Allow changes without approval, so it will be automatically updated, or create a change proposal like the manual changes, or reject the changes automatically. So here I'm gonna select create a change proposal, then I'll click save, and let's navigate to the open in Excel. Then here I'm gonna change the bank account number by adding any changes, then I'll click publish. Now if we navigate to the bank account, then here we can see a change proposal and the workflow is triggered. So here we have a change proposal from this account number to this account number. Then normally we can submit the workflow.